And now, I'm very excited because we have Storytime with Peter Portman. Peter! This was unexpected. This is happening.
The story of my life, I give her all. I spend her love.
So, what is Storytime? You know, people's lives are transforming every week, and people are having encounters with Jesus. And man, we just love being a place where we lead young adults into growing relationships with Jesus. We love it when people have their lives encountered by God and His love, and I'm believing for a lot of those next week. But we want to showcase this story. Peter Portman, it's about your 5th time here, right? I don't know if that's true, but we're so glad you're here, and so let's give him a huge round of applause as we hear his story.
Well, thank you. My name is Peter Portman, and I guess I'll just start my story at the beginning of my life. So I am the youngest of 7 kids. I was raised in a Christian family, but when I was 6 years old, my parents got divorced because my dad was physically and emotionally abusive. So I grew up not really knowing my dad. He kind of came around to my siblings and I. He was kind of like the crazy uncle that kind of showed up on your door once in a great while, took you out to putt-putt golf or something. So I didn't really know him. I just have faint memories of him. So I grew up in a Christian family. I was going to church. In high school, I helped my pastor brother with the worship team. I played guitar and that. So I got really close to God in high school. But when I went to college, and I went to Oakland University for music education because I wanted to be a music teacher, I kind of fell away because I had to work on the weekends, so I didn't get to go to church. And at the same time, my dad sent me an email saying, basically, if you want to be my son, you have to prove to me that you want me to be your father. And that pretty much crushed me for a couple years, and it kind of shaked up a lot of my relationships with like the older guys that were kind of mentors in my life. And at the same time, I also started to fall away from God, and I started partying, I started drinking because I was looking to my friends to kind of tell me who I was, because I wasn't grounded in who I was in God. And so it kind of came to a focal point when my supervisor at Best Buy invited me to a party for the Final Four, and it was like one of the March parties. And basically, he wanted me to come just so he could see me get drunk. And I thought it'd be sweet because I was like, oh, my supervisor's inviting me. And he was kind of like a father figure to me. So I went. We started drinking about 6 o'clock, and I had about 9 drinks. Not a very large guy, so I took it very hard. I literally was not conscious and apparently challenged the DD to a fist fight, a boxing match. And after getting hit in the head 3 times, I finally woke up and was like, why am I fighting you? Let's stop. And then I passed out in the bathroom. When I woke up, everybody was gone. I texted my supervisor, and they had gone to the bar. And so I was laying on the ground crying. I literally felt like I was going to die because I was going in and out of consciousness. And I said, God, I can't do this anymore. I need to put my identity in you. I'm tired of like trying to look for people to tell me who I am. And after that, I started looking for a church, and I found a church in Detroit, of all places, which is like 45 minutes away from my house. And I just really felt like God was calling me there because I kind of had something in common with them about the fatherlessness about Detroit. And so I moved down to Detroit with my sister. We got a house in Detroit. I found a job. God blessed me with a job. I was teaching kindergarten through 8th grade music, which was awesome right out of college. And then I started going to the church down there. But the thing was, my job, I didn't really like. I didn't really enjoy it because I was on a cart. I didn't have a room. I had to go room to room where the kids were at. And the behavior was just so bad, and I just was so miserable that I found other ways to kind of get connected. So I would help out a lot at my church. I started a community garden. I was the worship leader. I helped with the homeless shelter they had there. I would hand out bag lunches. I got to see awesome people get healed, which is really cool. And then one day at service, I was praying, and I heard God say, youth. And I said, well, God, if you want me to do something with youth, can you confirm that? And literally 15 minutes later, my friend Ryan brought me upstairs to the 2nd floor and said, hey, here's the rooms I'm renovating. I want you to take over the youth program. I was like, whew, well, I guess that's confirmation. So I started helping with the youth, and it was just amazing because in that time, God showed me what it's like to be a father. You know, I'm only 25, I don't have kids yet, but I was able to be a father figure to these teenagers, and it just showed me the Father's love for us and how much He cares about us. And I think the biggest moment that I knew God was real was when I was standing in my kitchen after hanging out with the teenagers. And I was just thinking about the prodigal son story, and about, it says, when even though when he was a bit ways off, the father saw him and ran to him. And I can only just imagine the father's image in his mind, like how happy he was to see his father and how his son, and just how much emotion welled up inside of him. And I just felt like at that moment, God's arms wrap around me, and I just knew at that moment that God was real. And it was just amazing that God used me when in Detroit, because the kids had so many issues. Not a single one of them had a father in the picture. 2 of them were sisters, tried to commit suicide a month apart. One of them, he was a 15-year-old boy, had to basically take care of his toddler brother and sister because his mom was totally drugged out all the time. 3 sisters live in a 2-bedroom apartment where there was 9 or 10 kids, 9 or 10 people staying in this 2-bedroom apartment. And so none of them had anything. And I just felt so blessed because I got to take them on such a simple thing and let them drive my car because they didn't have anybody to teach them how to drive car. I got to take them to the movies. And I just felt so blessed, and I just understood at that moment how much God loved me. After that, though, my job went downhill. I got put on a performance improvement plan, which basically means I improve my behavior management or I get fired. And at that moment, I was crying out to God. I said, I don't know what you want me to do anymore, God. I thought you called me down to Detroit. If you want me to leave Detroit, you need to do something huge. And at that moment, literally like the next day, I got an email saying, hey, there is a choir director position opened up at Lakeland High School. Mind you, I went to Milford High School, so I knew this area pretty well. So I was like, okay, God, if you want me to leave Detroit, then you're going to have to help me get this job. I went for the interview. I went for the second interview. And out of 40 people that applied, they gave me the job. And every day I feel so blessed. Sometimes I just stand in front of the kids and I just want to cry because it's so amazing that he blessed me with that job. And I wouldn't have known how much I appreciate that if I hadn't experienced the hardship at my last job. And I was so lonely at in Detroit. I didn't have any friends. I had like one friend that was a 52-year-old man named Virgil. And that was the other thing I cried out. I was like, God, I'm so lonely. I feel so alone. I can't do this. I'm so tired. And now I'm out here, and I came to Momentum, and I've met so many amazing people. From the day I came here, everybody was so welcoming, and they said, hey, come sit next to me. And this is such an amazing community, and you guys got Pradeep, and it's just such a great community. I've been in a lot of different young adults groups. Listen, he's pretty great. I've been to different young adults group, and this is the most on point, I feel like, of all the groups. So I just want to say God's blessed me, and yeah.
That was awesome. Yeah. Peter.